you guys, what do you have, a reservation in Idaho?
Yes.
Yeah. I have a reservation. I call it Mexico. Big reservation. I'm Zapotec. You know,
Yeah.
we share with the Aztecs and the Mayans and some other people. People forget that, like, Mexico is, like, a very indigenous
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
country.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was doing my ancestry work, yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one of
Okay,
them that dug
okay,
into
right,
okay.
spit in
Right.
the tube, send it off.
At least it was just spit.
Just spit,
Yep.
yeah. 9% Northern Yucatan blood. But that also goes back to the
9%, okay.
origin of the seed trade history by way of waterways for indigenous
Right.
peoples.
Oh, so we could be related.
We could.
We probably are.
We probably
somewhere. We are back at Meet Unshackled MG BizCon 2023 with a great podcast here that we've put together for you, and I'm looking forward to having this discussion. It's a fascinating topic, near and dear to my heart.
This is gonna be good.
Here with co-host in training, who's a host himself now officially.
Oh, I'm official. I was officially.
Yeah, you are
indoctrinated.
officially a host. You do
Yeah,
your
I'm
thing.
officially a host. Max Ulas from Dope SEO. Pleasure to be here on the award-winning Meet
Yeah.
Unshackled podcast.
Yeah, we won an award last night. It was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, we are officially the best podcasts in the international cannabis industry.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine that?
It's crazy.
That's really weird. We had some pretty stiff competition, but I think most podcasts are focused on consumers and patients and, you know, that kind of the general population. We have a very small niche. We want people who are professionals, employees, entrepreneurs, decision makers, investors, you know, the people that want to learn about the cannabis industry, sort of like a college education kind of thing to watch. You know, that's kind of what we focus on. But let's introduce you again to our audience and talk a little bit about what you guys do.
Yeah, my name is Rob Perro. I'm Bad River, Oneida, Polish, and German out of Wisconsin. I was on earlier today to kind of talk about what kind of a shit show Wisconsin is, but happy to dig in a little bit deeper into the indigenous cannabis side. So I'm the founder and president of the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association, and this is our executive director.
All right.
Yeah, Mary Jane Oatman, hailing from the Nez Perce Indian Reservation in Idaho.
All right.
I do. How'd you guys
Idaho.
meet?
I featured Rob in my magazine Tribal Hemp and Cannabis.
Okay.
I really, tribes are doing a lot of things, but I was really interested and excited about what the entrepreneurs, the members, the legacy indigenous community members, what they were doing. And that's how I found Rob.
So you started a magazine that focuses on tribes and cannabis.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
What year did you do that?
I started in 2019, just really because I saw such a need for the education about what was happening successfully for tribes. I kind of crosswalk beacon tribes to the tribes that were trying to figure it out. It's complex, but it's not unattainable.
And you're tribal yourself, obviously.
Yes, I'm a member of the Nez Perce tribe.
And you guys, what do you have, a reservation in Idaho?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a reservation. I call it Mexico. Big reservation. I'm Zapotec. You know,
Yeah.
we share with the Aztecs and the Mayans and some other people. People forget that, like, Mexico is, like, a very indigenous
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
country.
Absolutely. I mean, when I was doing my ancestry work, yeah, I'm one of them. I'm one of
Okay,
them that dug
okay,
into
right,
okay.
spit in
Right.
the tube, send it off.
At least it was just spit.
Just spit,
Yep.
yeah. 9% Northern Yucatan blood. But that also goes back to the
9%, okay.
origin of the seed trade history by way of waterways for indigenous
Right.
peoples.
Oh, so we could be related.
We could.
We probably are.
We probably
somewhere.
Somewhere down the line.
Yeah, we like to. I won't make that joke again. I made it earlier. So, you remember my joke? Is like that's good. The wandering, distant ancestors of us Zapotecs who built big civilizations and stuff. But then we were all conquered together by the white man, who we have sitting next to us.
As the white man here.
You could be indigenous passing that.
How do you feel about that,
I'm
Max?
an absolute hero, but I claim no anything. So, yeah.
Spit in the tube, Max.
I like to
Do it.
make
Oh, I know
jokes
where I come
about
from.
all this stuff
Yeah.
because the whole identity politics to me, we're all humans. That's the way I look at things, and I don't know. That's the way I was raised, and that's what I'll always believe. It might not be politically incorrect, and it might be culturally incorrect, and I might die an idiot, but it is what it is. But let's talk about cannabis in tribal country because it's a huge theme, and there are massive, Rob and I were talking about this earlier, there's massive implications in regards to taxation, not just the at the consumer level, but also at the corporate level. There's a lot of different. There's cultural implications as well. There's different tribes that see things in different ways. I remember this one tribe from Kansas was like, "We don't want that devil's weed here." Mm-hmm. I've been doing this, let's let you know, since 2013, when the Wilkinson memorandum came in, and then everybody's like, oh, now tribes can have cannabis because the Wilkinson memorandum is going to protect tribes. And these publicly traded companies, who I didn't understand how they worked, these Canadian publicly traded companies, they came to me and said, Demitri, you're already a cannabis leader. You should help us introduce us to some of your friends in California who are running tribes and Arizona, and we want to do tribal businesses, and a lot of puffery, a lot of lies. But I got really involved in the tribal stuff, and I had actually a really cool design for a vape pen with beads on the outside. Really cool. I don't know if anybody's ever used that, but about 2014. So I did a lot of exploration in the area, and obviously it's a really complicated issue and complicated to navigate, and in the internal politics of every tribe are so, clan, districts, families, decisions, and then you have the substance abuse issues that are mostly alcohol, but it's related to the entire substance abuse theme. So marijuana is like thrown in there, and it's like getting over that stigma is 10 times as difficult as it is getting past the fuddy-duddies and say, Mesa or something, Mesa, Arizona. So it was just a mess, and I backed out of it, and a lot of people stayed into it, and we created NIC at that time. I think it was National Indian Cannabis Coalition. Jeff Doctor, that was his name. Yes. That was his name. We met, we knew each other. He started it, and I was like, go, go, go. I'm not going to do this, but it sounds great. And I don't even know what happened to him. And is he with you guys?
He's not with us. Wish him well in his journey. I believe that he's went international and started working in other communities abroad. But that's another reason why the Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association was so critical to build foundations for an organization, pillars of support that were not going to just fizzle after a year or two.
They fizzled out? Yeah. I don't know what happened to them.
I have not been able to source them as a partner.
Oh, okay, whatever. It's all good. I mean, it's a big. There's 70 non-tribal trade associations and groups. So it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing is we're busting out per se. Tribal cannabis is kind of having a voice for once, which is super cool. But it's been so kind of all over the place nationally. So how could we bring that voice kind of as a collective and actually get everyone together? And the surge has been on, and we've just been lucky enough because serendipity is a real thing. We met at the RES conference, the largest Native American Economic Development Conference in Vegas. There's 5,000 to 7,000 tribal leaders, business owners from all across North America that descend. And she was really pushing the envelope to have cannabis and hemp as an agenda, emerging industry, like let's explore this, open it up, this can of worms that some tribes are doing it, some aren't. We still can't talk about it because of federal issues. And we met 1 a.m. because she had written an article about Candigenous and was out profiling boots on the ground tribal operators across the country and established the first ever tribal cannabis operators map. Like, where are they and who's doing what across the country?
That's smart.
Would you do that?
I did that as a center feature for every issue of Tribal Hemp and Cannabis magazine because we, want to have people supporting Indigenous brands and products, but there's nobody that's focusing specifically on tribes, and we have to do it for us, by us. So that was the approach.
Truth.
Cool. I'm really excited. MEDA's heading towards, it's such a complicated industry. There's so many angles, so many aspects of it. Business-wise, mostly what I do is broker deals in regards to limited licensing states. And of course, tribal entities are a little bit unique in their participation in general, whether or not they even have licenses to broker and sell. Although I'm a huge advocate for the entrepreneurial model within tribal lands, but that's another thing. But we are looking to support brands long term. META is.
Yeah.
We want to work with all brands and help them evolve, help them develop, help their stories, help their legacy, help their reputation. And tribal brands.
I think reputable brands, not all brands.
Well, I mean, it's hard
Reputable brands,
it'll be hard for us to judge.
Yeah.
But develop their reputation.
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
okay,
So if
okay.
you have a bad reputation, you can develop better reputation. Whatever the truth is. I mean, who knows what the truth is? I mean, you really know what you know? I mean,
Who knows? Who
yeah.
knows?
Anyway, but that's where META USA is
Yeah.
going. So it's exciting to know you guys because we can help you out the brands that you work with that are tied to your organization.
Oh, there's some amazing ones that are developing in tribal communities. And Candigenous, an entrepreneurial brand, but it's really exciting to see the tribes starting to work together.
Nice.
They didn't do that in gaming. I mean, it was just really set up.
I feel like that's
as
like a whole lot of competition. Like it's whereas like with hemp and cannabis, like you want to work together.
Yeah, economies of
Yeah.
scale with cultivation. Like, there's just really so much more opportunity for them to cost share on
True.
production and manufacturing, especially sister tribes that are super close to each other.
Right. Just
Makes no
makes
sense
sense.
for every single one of them to completely go fully vertically integrated. And I agree with you, Demitri. Horizontally integrated is where it makes a bigger impact with the families that have been, torn apart by the war on drugs.
Yes.
So what are the goals of the organization?
Party. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I wasn't expecting that.
No, organizing and empowering.
Everybody just joined your organization.
This place is awesome.
Organizing
Let's
and
go.
empowering tribes. The education that we provide is pretty phenomenal. It's impactful, but the networking from tribe to tribe
Yeah.
and our partners, really having strong partners. Not all of the cannabis industry spectrum is in Indian country, so we have to have strong allies, partners like. Some of the bigs around here, like BioTrack, that are willing to step up and support us in a meaningful way,
Okay.
because there are tribes that are doing track and trace programs.
Are
that
you
they've
required to
developed
do
on their
track and trace
own.
programs or?
So most tribes are, they're following the guidance of the Cole Wilkinson memorandum,
Okay.
and so they want to make sure that they got transparent programs, accountability through the whole system. So yes, and they're usually partnering with those existing, but there are some tribes that have figured it out themselves on proprietary software.
Really?
Lots of
Oh,
tribes.
yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Cole memorandum was a Department of Justice memorandum that said that the Department of Justice couldn't use Jim McMahon, Chicago Bears, Jim McMahon.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey, Jim. Why don't you guys grab Jim McMahon over there? So anyways, the Cole memorandum
Yeah.
said that the DOJ couldn't use funds to prosecute, and then the Wilkinson memorandum said that couldn't. That was for you.
Oh.
I'm the audience. The Wilkinson memorandum said that that funds couldn't be used to prosecute tribal stuff as well.
Yes.
And so that was 2014. Remember, right? It was that Cole Wilkinson memorandum was in fall of 2014.
Yep.
Remember, because that's when I dealt with all these shady Canadian publicly traded companies who were just trying to get press releases about projects they were doing with tribes in Arizona, California, and Nevada, trying puff up their stock and raise funds from investors. I was like, it was the worst of the worst people. And I didn't want to destroy my reputation anymore, so I backed off that whole project.
Anymore.
It brings-
Anymore being the key two words.
It
Yeah.
brings up that
Well,
important
but-
point, what you were talking
yeah.
about earlier with helping brands with identification. Similar to that, like with the network that we're growing, it's kind of become a roundabout for the ICIA where we can redirect the bad boys that are approaching, and not all boys, but mostly, the bad boys that are approaching tribes with nefarious means.
You know what I'd like to do, and I don't know if you guys are doing this kind of stuff, and I might be going way off into left field here, but find a tribe that really wants to play the sovereignty card and open up a big cultivation and set up a licensing deal, a trade deal with like Germany.
Oh,
You see what I'm saying? Because they're doing import export from Canada.
yeah.
But I like to see a United States tribe say, "We're sovereign, motherfuckers," and we're
They're
going to
doing
start
it already,
growing.
man.
Yeah.
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 So
Well, there's German
tribes
yeah.
in the United States are exporting with Germany. I don't think so.
I'm not saying Germany. I'm saying there's international commerce that's already happened.
Really?
Yes.
Legal with I mean,
Sovereign commerce,
Right.
unapologetic. We don't know about it all, and we talked before.
Yeah.
Sovereignty is
Yeah.
the autonomy to not have to talk about it too or ask for permission. So.
well, the cartels are doing sovereign, autonomous, unapologetic commerce as well. But I would like to see it done like, we are a tribe.
Yeah.
We are going to talk
Yes.
about it. We are
And
sovereign.
we're gonna talk about it. We're
Shipping
gonna let
manifests
you know.
with exempt tariffs and
absolutely.
I know what you
and
mean.
just absolute flex, just like
Yeah,
yeah.
I like when tribal sovereignty flexes. My God,
Man.
if I had anything close to my own country, I guess
I'd
Mexico,
flex
but
all day.
You do.
we,
the whole thing.
we want
I
to be
don't
the
know.
steroids for sovereignty. Like we want to
Yeah.
allow,
Yeah.
like use us as that buffer to pump you up, to provide that 1 degree of separation, and then also not make you a martyr.
Right.
Like if there's other tribes that are on board with that too and have similar ideals, maybe you disagreed about a million other things, but with this you do.
Right.
Because you do understand sovereignty and how much of a crux it's been, and the thorn on our side to our communities from just a public health perspective.
Right.
So it's time to do something about it, and they are starting to flex.
So what are the obstacles that you're running into, except for, let's skip over the fact that it's impossible to herd cats, and I love cats. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. Tribe to tribe,
You
family.
gotta have good nip.
You just gotta have a good.
Oh, you have to have good bud.
But
Great. That was classic.
No, I mean, it's such a complicated issue. I mean, obviously, we're going to get to how people learn more about you and how can they read your magazine and stuff. But, highest level stuff, what is the biggest themes in indigenous cannabis?
Aside from, getting past the community conversation and the political will to move forward, is everything else that is facing the mainstream cannabis industry. Access to banking. We really want tribes to do extreme due diligence in the pre-operational services of their cannabis industry. And so a bandwidth issue around quality and qualified people to be able to do that on behalf of sovereign nations. But that's also, again, where the partnerships come in really strong, because there's a lot of people, across this trade show floor that are doing it well, that just need minor supplemental services. They've never worked with tribal
Right.
communities before. They've never worked with an enterprise or corporation. And so they need some small technical assistance to help them with a point of entry into tribal communities. But, insurance, banking, and, the age-old question of nation-to-nation trade, or otherwise known as interstate commerce, is the challenges that we're addressing with solutions.
The taxation, like where a construction company is wholly or partially tribally owned or owned by a tribal member and therefore exempt from federal taxation, is that has that been tested? Does that apply to? And I really hadn't asked any of the tribes that I know that are working in cannabis. Does that exempt them from 280E? You see what I'm saying? I mean,
Yes.
and
Well, I'm not saying yes, it exempts them from 280E. That's another one of the challenges that our tribes
Right.
have to work with, because if they have a consultant that does not know exactly how to help that tribal sovereign nation navigate 280E appropriately, then they're going to be paying taxes in certain areas that they shouldn't or may not otherwise have to.
But what is it? Like, say, if a construction company is wholly owned by a tribe, but it's doing business off the reservation, it doesn't have to pay federal taxes, and isn't that the case? Or if it's partially owned or majority owned by a tribe,
So if it's an enterprise,
Right.
But if they're doing work off reservation, they're going to have to pay some form of taxes. If it's based on reservation, there's certain tax advantages there, but that would be an accountant question, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Tribal enterprises are different. Those are enterprises or businesses that are meant to build wealth for the tribes, and there are tax advantages there. Tribal businesses, it's a different category, but if you operate your tribal business on reservation, based upon their own tribal tax ordinances, would determine if you're going to pay state or federal tax at that point.
And individuals, it's different. Like for Rob, as
I'm
an
off
individual
reservation. I
entrepreneur.
grew up in the city.
Right.
I pay taxes like everybody else. If I wanted to go partner with the tribe and maybe establish or be part of an enterprise that they were doing on reservation, then we would have some tax advantages.
So individual entrepreneurs don't have that same blanket tax exemption that
Right.
tribes are afforded.
right. So if you were to advise a tribe about getting involved in the cannabis industry, would you say create a regulatory structure so that all your members and citizens can do their thing and participate and build enterprises? Or would you say create a government-owned enterprise, own it and run it yourself, and hire people to come in and make it tribally owned?
That's the question, right? I mean, tribes are going to look at this, and some tribes
good question.
are
That is a
attacking
good
this from the aspect of they just want their enterprise, their wealth builders, to go investigate optimal opportunities and create wealth. And then that wealth goes directly back to the community. There's the other aspect where can the tribe, if they're doing something where they want to engage the community in regards to workforce and have it be on premise, what does that look like, and is there an overhead that makes sense financially to develop workforce along the way, or just be efficient with getting your operations up and running? And so there's two sides of the coin there that I think they're investigating. What's that feasibility look like, and how can we keep community involvement so that they know not only is there bang for their buck, but we're developing and transferring skills to that community as well.
And what would you advise them?
I was just going to say there's not a one-size-fits-all model, but I am a proponent of horizontally licensed structures and meso licensing within tribal communities because
What'd you call it?
Meso licensing.
So I really do think that tribes
It was brought up yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were on for it. It's
Yeah.
it's an interesting. It's
Yes.
an interesting.
Meso license.
It's not a micro license. It's a. I'll let you.
So,
say.
well, I just to answer your question, yes, tribes must absolutely afford an opportunity for the citizens, not just make this a corporate tribal effort.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Well, must or I agree with you, 100%. I'm a free market guy, and having done a lot of work on reservations, I find that government dependency and not pushing that entrepreneurial spirit, not just reservations but different countries, is a bad idea. You want to empower your individuals, to do their thing, as free as they possibly can. That's just my perspective, but it's good.
Yes.
So, but those are conversations that tribes have to have, and you're willing to help them, and you can help them. And are you guys available as consultants for tribes?
We do a level of consulting as a nonprofit, but it's really to sort of instigate and then be a third party. So there are tribal consultants out there that are working. There's obviously non-native consultants, and we're also casting kind of a wide net of accountability for those consultants to see what that resume looks like, specifically working in the tribal community before, they would go to a tribe and make a pitch. We can vet some of these.
So is there like
now.
a pre-qualifying checklist for any of these? Like, what do they have to pass to?
Right now, there's nothing.
Okay.
So, when you go work on sovereign land, it's kind of a double-edged sword. People don't think they have to be accountable if things don't go well either.
You should always be accountable.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Shouldn't you be? So,
And that's another level of like business investigative services
Yeah.
as a scope of work that we
Okay.
are doing, so that there is this is not like Pandora's box we're trying to open
Right.
access for tribes, but we definitely want to make sure that there is a process in place.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, I think if you do that enough, like I know Destiny, but I was just saying you could create your own SOPs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's
right.
But on the
Which is-
training side, with our tribes, doing technical assistance in education, like a lot of tribes just want to have us come in and facilitate town hall meetings, look at surveying their community on the will to move forward with cannabis. But Indigenous Cannabis Industry Association is here to stay.
Word.
I'm glad you guys are doing this.
Seriously.
I think it's positive. I could have focused in on this area. One of the many projects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many things that I've touched in the cannabis industry since 2012. I could have focused in on this theme, but I decided not to because
You'd have been a millionaire, Demitri.
it's not all about money, but also I had such negative experiences with the people that I was, because I didn't have the skills. I'm not a cultivator, not a processor, I'm not a brand developer, I'm not a retailer, and I'm not an investor, but I am a connector. And as a connector, sometimes you don't know what you're bringing with you.
Right.
So I found myself like the Pied Piper leading the rats. But, the Pied Piper took the rats out of one village and took them to where? To the reservation. You know
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what I was finding immediately. And I'm like, no, I'm going to back off. Just to remind people, learn, educate, empower yourself. Be your own boss. Freedom, choose, and seek your own destiny. Because
Right.
I have no fucking clue what's behind me. Hey, I'm good.
Don't
you know
look
what I'm saying?
back.
Yeah, even Jesus brought Judas with him. What the hell did he know? He was the son of God. Look what he brought.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah,
let's not go down that rabbit hole.
You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been an honor
Yeah,
to do the show with you guys. So thank you so much.
It's been so great having you on.
So you got to be careful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's been another episode of Me Unshackled.
Award-winning Meat Unshackled.
Yes.
Reach out to them for all things tribal cannabis, indigenous cannabis. Breed the magazine. I'm going to pick it up myself. What's the website?
Tribal Hemp and Cannabis Magazine is print only, Demitri.
It's not digital?
Indigenous Cannabis.
You can get. I'll send you digital copies.
Yeah.
I'll get you special digital copies.
She'll make you
Okay,
special.
I'm culturally appropriate. Send me smoke signals.
IndigenousCannabis.org to get all the information. THC magazine is kind of the publication that we rely on. It's coming back to life now, but she's been doing some heavy lifting in the advocacy front, and we can't have her run away just yet.
What's interesting is my grandmother's village, Yate, they used to use fire to communicate across the mountains to the neighboring village. So it was fire signals, not smoke. Anyways, then we can't go
That's
back.
an interesting factor.
You know, I've been fighting for culturally appropriate communication for years, but nobody, they moving towards cell phones and shit.
Well, congratulations on your award. Mita is awesome.
Really?
You guys are getting onward and upward.
Yeah, we're honored to be here as well.
Yes, we'll catch up with you guys next year
Thank you
and
so
keep on
much.
doing good work and keep on helping people and protect them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Protect them. Thank you.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
All right.